You are listening to the Icehouse Podcast, hosting conversations with gritty Kiwi business owners and leaders and industry-leading minds.
Kia ora everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Icehouse Podcast. My name is Bryar. I love having these conversations with our alumni, and today is no different. We are talking to Tracey Karam. She is the production manager at Safety Genius, and she's done our leadership development program number 46. And I actually met her at an alumni event a couple of weeks ago in Hamilton and thought her energy and experience would make for a great guest on the podcast. So thanks so much, Tracey, for jumping on.
No problem.
Awesome. First question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you passionate about?
Well, I'm a 40-year-old mum, a married lady.
Mm-hmm.
I live in the small town of Te Amaru, which I absolutely love. And I guess, what am I passionate about? I've kind of been on a health journey, I guess, the last year. With being turning 40 looming, I decided to embark on the get yourself together kind of thing before I got to 40. So I found a new love and passion with the gym, especially with weightlifting sides of things.
Wow.
So that's really kind of consumed me the last year and a half or 2 years. It's brought me into a whole new world of people, positive people, and I've moved into this little village of support and stuff, and I've just really thoroughly enjoyed the last couple of years of my life, finding out about something I've never embarked on in my existence. So that's kind of where my heart lies at the moment, is getting in and supporting people around that sort of stuff, people that are new to it, people that, were sort of where I was a year or so ago. That's my loving and encouraging people on at the start of their health, fitness journeys or whatever it might be. So, that's...
I love hearing that. Yeah, that's such a sense of community, right? Those gyms and fitness and sports sort of places definitely build great communities around them. So I love to hear that. That's great.
Yes.
Can you walk us through, what does a day in the life of Tracey look like?
Well, obviously it's a 5 a.m. start for me at the gym in the morning, not because I like getting out of bed early, but because it has less impact on my family, getting up and doing it while it's still sort of dark. So I start my day there and get the endorphins flowing, back home, get the teenage son up, ready for school, off to the bus. And then as soon as I drop him off, I'm heading into work, to start my day, to set my day up, to set my staff up, to really assess what my day ahead's going to look like. That's kind of where I start. And I just like to kind of, spread everything out, take sort of everything in, of what's in our day ahead, and kind of let the staff trickle in over at their different start times, and then we kind of, once we're all here, we get together and discuss what's in front of us for the day.
Awesome.
So my best journey is to, sort of help, I guess, is to make sure that everyone's got what they need when they need it and where they need it, and that they that we're all ready to help each other if someone's a bit under the pump, or if there's something big going on. We just really open up that communication, make sure we haven't dropped the ball anywhere or missed anything, any missed emails. So we try and process something, that sort of meeting every day, just to make sure that we all know what each other's doing, just so that we're helping each other where we can.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. I would love, for a bit of context for those listening, what does Safety Genius do? What do you guys offer as a business? And then we'll lead into your experience working there. But let's start with that.
Right. So Safety Genius, we are a manufacturing plant. We manufacture safety signage, which we supply to our resellers. So we're a B2B mostly. So it's all the, the regular sort of danger construction sites, all the sort of hazard warning type stuff you see out there pretty much everywhere these days. but we were also, because we manufacture everything here, we have the sort of full sign writing capabilities. So I do vehicle sign writing for the likes of Fulton Hogan or some trucking companies and things like that, and Waka Kotahi and things like that. So
Awesome.
we've got full sign writing capabilities, but our core business is the safety signage sort of scope, and not just signage. There is other related products like the electrical lockout sort of stuff, or barrier gates that stop people walking into workshops and things when they shouldn't be. So yeah, we used to be called Custom Signage Solutions once upon a time, and people didn't really understand that our core was safety, and so we had a rebrand, or I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago, just to try and give ourselves a brand identity, so that when you see our products in a shop like Mitre 10 or Placemakers or Mere Safety or things like that, that we become something that's identifiable going forward, I guess.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. It's very cool. I wanted to get into your experience working there, because you've been there 16 plus years, is that correct?
It's up there. I guess I'm one of those people that kind of left school not really ready to jump into a study, because I still didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I started in a company drilling holes in the corner of plastic signs and putting them in plastic bags and things like that. And lost 10 years very quickly there.
Wow.
And yeah, the business I was in, well, I didn't sort of had signs that things weren't going very well. And sort of after about a year or so, my brother Darwin had decided he'd done his time in UK, and that he was coming back to New Zealand, and obviously he had a bit of savings in his pocket, and decided that his financial backing and my sort of experience and knowledge needed to come together, which, then started out in the parents' garage in a cupboard-sized room, which we kind of did tiny little thumb-sized stickers for years, just turning over sort of $7,000 or $8,000 a year, just as an after work hobby type thing. And that's when your Darwin decided, shall we do it? Let's do it. Why not?
Wow.
Let's go. So yeah, it was in 2010 we moved from the cupboard space in the parents' garage and moved into a house. So we had a house lounge, dining table as a workbench, and we had a garage where we had some sort of finishing products, machinery. We moved, and we stayed there for quite a few years, until we sort of decided we'd kind of moved ourselves into some supplying some bigger named companies, and it was just a little bit awkward when the reps would turn up and have to come in sort of a kitchen table, which was also our workshop, and a kitchen that kind of looked like a regular house. So yeah, 5 or 6 years after that journey, we went into a little workshop in a more sort of commercial area, and we sort of realised that we'd only gone just a little bit bigger than what we needed, and we hadn't actually planned for the future growth that we were taking on. So we found ourselves in a space that just wasn't big enough for long enough. And then an old school friend popped in one day, and they were underway with constructing some new workshops, buildings out by the Hamilton Airport, back when it was all still farmland, and kind of talked us into customizing a building to exactly what we needed. And we, sort of thought, oh, this was cool. And all of a sudden, one day he turned up with the plans and the drawing and sort of said, sign here. And we thought, oh, right, okay, we're moving. So yeah, so we again, we were at the in-between building again for a couple of years before we moved out to the airport area, which, I said we were sort of surrounded by farm when we started here, but now we're surrounded by, I think, trade depots across the road with 300 staff. We've got Torpedo 7 at the end of our road, which is about 90 staff. Yeah, and there's just buildings going up around us everywhere. So we've been part of this sort of area for about 6 years, and gone from isolated to surrounded by other businesses that are growing and doing well as well. So here we are.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that. That's so great to hear. And I didn't realize actually that it was a brother and sister duo.
Yeah, it's one of those I guess family stories where we sort of just started in the parents' garage. And I mean, Darwin is an accountant, or a recovering accountant, as he likes to call himself. He did that stuff over in the UK and came back here, and obviously, while it pays the bills comfortably, so there was no joy in it for him. The idea of a family empire and your kids taking over one day kind of had its appeal. And like, well, my sort of qualities or strengths, I like doing this stuff. I love still being hands-on. So I'm quite often still got my head in the business, working in the business rather than on the business, whereas Darwin is quite good at being about what's next, and that sort of business development side of things. What can we do to make this take care of our families, including our mum. We've got our mum as well, that we want, when she's ready to retire, that we can shuffle her in the workshop and having her, I don't know, sewing flags or pushing a broom around or something, just to keep her entertained when she's ready to give up her day job.
Wow. Yeah. What a cool team. And like you said, a family empire, building something for a family legacy, essentially, and the generations to come. So yeah, I absolutely love hearing that. What advice would you give then to your younger self when starting your career, or maybe embarking on this sort of family business journey?
I guess when you're much younger, there's a lot of fear around trying to go too far too fast, sort of sticking. You sort of like to stick with what you know and stay in your lane and do things well, I think. And you kind of, I guess my biggest fear was always getting too big, that I couldn't handle it, couldn't manage, pleasing all these people, and think, when things go wrong, it just kind of really got me scared. So I guess it's sort of, I guess if I had embraced taking more business running knowledge at a younger age, instead of writing it off as that boring stuff, I'd be a lot more comfortable with understanding how, why, and when things get done, cash flows and things like that. It's something that I just sort of went, that's not my area, but it really did prevent me from understanding how and why we can do things, when we've got money to invest in products or machinery and equipment or people, and so on and so forth. So that was probably my biggest learning at the leadership course. Icehouse is that I remember when we started talking accountancy stuff and the accountant guy was doing the lingo, I was sort of, my eyes were trying really hard not to roll, because I didn't understand really what the lingo was. But I think as it went on, I understood more, as I persevered with it, and of course, being in teams or tables of people, you've got people that can interpret it into a language that you understand, which, sometimes when you hear these acronyms and things, you're sort of thinking, I sound like I should know what those mean, but I didn't. So it's cool to have the people around you to explain them. And the other bit of it, I guess, I always thought that was the boring stuff, that, I didn't want to pass that sort of boring stuff onto my production staff, because, we're all tools in hands people and production people. And I kind of made the decision for them that it would be too boring for them to know, and that wasn't quite right. They are interested in how we did for the day, and they are interested in our turnover for the month, and they are, they do feel that sense of accomplishment when we achieve budget or exceed budget, or just even sometimes when you see the figures at the end of the day, you kind of nod and smile at each other, and that you've worked really hard to achieve. And yeah, that's the sort of data I didn't think was very interesting for the majority of us, but yeah, I was wrong.
That's such an interesting insight, is going, oh, I don't think people would enjoy knowing this information, but then seeing what the fact that actually they really do, and what that sort of like releases for them in terms of excitement around doing good for the business, and seeing targets being hit and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, really cool insight that you've sort of learned over the years. Any notable moments from working in your time at Safety Genius?
Well, I guess there's always the cool bit from going from the parents' garage to your own space, from your own space to a big space, but then to a much bigger place. Picking up customers that I guess sort of don't necessarily just give you an opportunity straight away, but when they do give you a chance, they do sort of keep you under their scope for a little while, and after a few months getting feedback from reps saying, we wish other suppliers were like you guys. You guys make it so easy. Leading on to being a finalist in the Waikato Business Awards last year. Again, so that was kind of, just makes you feel like a real, like a grown-up business, just not that, the home garage type business anymore. And it's led us into being finalists again this year, but in the Waikato service category. So, and that is something that to me is an acknowledgement of what we've put our heart and soul into. We want, we not fighting our way to the bottom. We don't want to be the cheapest out there, but we definitely want to have the best turnaround and the best service and the best relationships with our customers. So to, I guess, have that acknowledged by the Waikato Chamber of Commerce is kind of a reassurance that we have made the right decisions and that we are sort of keeping our people and our suppliers. Our customers, they're our sales reps, are the ones out there confidently selling our product over and over and over and over, and the reliability and all those sorts of things. The fact they keep coming back, that's an accolade to the service that my team have worked towards to make sure that everyone gets what they want when they want and how they want it.
I love it. And congratulations on being finalist. That's very exciting. And absolutely, well deserved. I just love the story as well, from the parents' garage, the small sort of room to where you guys are now. It's such an amazing family business story. Along the journey for you, did it take you a while to work out your groove or your role or where your strengths lay within the business, or was it something you knew from the start?
No, 100%. It's taken me all this time. I think, I'm a doer. I like doing things. I guess I've been called a problem solver or a people pleaser, which has its strengths and its weaknesses. Quite often I'll just take on tasks to get them done myself on time, and it's made. I'm also a person, I struggle with having difficult conversations. I quite often just would run off and fix something myself rather than approach the cause and discuss, how we got there and why we got there. It is still a weakness, but I guess as being a little bit more aware of where the business is going and how things are going, I'm finding it easier to communicate more thoroughly with the team as a whole. So I don't need to be sort of passive aggressive about anything, and I don't sort of have to I don't shy away too much. I used to sort of start thinking about an interaction and thinking about what their response is going to be, and I all of a sudden made up the whole conversation in my head, and then I'd go and avoid it because I didn't want this sort of awkward situation where I feel uncomfortable. And then now, but I think what I've learned by having these sort of more structured and interactions with the staff is that they appreciate having a chance to tell us back of something they'd like to see a change in something as well, or acknowledge something that they really appreciate. because from what the feedback I've got from my staff is that they've never really had that anywhere else before. And again, another one of those things I kind of went, oh, who really wants to do that? But at the end of the day, they get to say their piece in person, and nobody's getting threatened or growled or anything. It's just always a platform where we can meet together and discuss expectations of each other, and how we can nurture each other's expectations and keep going forward and doing the right things, so that we're not building up, I guess, frustrations and things in the background to the point where they hit, boiling point, and then that's when the sparks fly. So we try and do little tweaks along the way all the time, rather than big explosive changes, because something's just boiled up and then gone over.
For sure. It makes so much sense. It's really great. So true. And your staff are surprising you. I love that, with what they're interested in, and what they want to know in terms of behind the scenes of the business and what it takes to actually run it and things like that, which is a sign of a very great team. So that's good to hear. Would love to hear, how did you first hear of the Icehouse?
So when Darwin decided, the business had been going a while, when we were bobbing along, paying the bills, paying the staff, but it was sort of profit or growth wise, we were just doing the same thing day in, day out, not really taking leaps and bounds as such. So employed the services of Tony Begbie from Leverage for Lifestyle. And he kind of, drew out of us what our core beliefs were, what our, sort of our visions were, what we wanted, where did we see ourselves in 5 years' time, and kind of got that all written down in front of us to use those as drivers to take the steps that we needed to and make the changes that we needed to. Cut off all the fluff, stop messing around with little bits and pieces, stop dragging the chains with you that, you're always the customers that you're always chasing for payments and stuff, because, out of fear, you don't want to cut people off, because that's it's income or turnover, but sometimes it just ends up costing you trying to hang on to those people. So once we kind of nutted out a few things and decided where and what we're going to do, that's when Tony sort of turned his head to me and was like, right, what do you want to do? How and how do you want to go about it? And I think that's when we started sort of searching. Your name was already in the mix and in the know there already. And I think, once the communication started, it was all just really well set out. Here's a form, have a read through this, these are the things you need to have a look at. It gave me a good introduction of knowing what I was going to get into before I had to commit to anything, which for me, when it was, learning something new, sort of the fear jumps in, and so you almost kind of think, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. But when I sort of, don't worry about this if you haven't got that right, just fill this bit and just have a look at this bit. But, don't be worried about anything. That was kind of like, right, if you said don't worry about anything, then I'm good to go.
Cool.
So I signed up, and I guess I had quite a bit of time up my sleeve with it, back then. I signed up for something that was starting 4 or 5 months later. It gave me time to mentally prepare. And then because I journeyed up to Auckland over a few months, and just met a real cool bunch of people, all mixtures of ages and roles and positions and companies and things like that. So it was just it didn't matter who was in what role and did what. It just went really well. So friendly, and our leaders Jo and Mel, just so relatable. Just made us really feel at ease. So the very, very first one we went to was just actually really fun, and I didn't have to dread going back the next time. The information that we were learning was easy to absorb, and made it really good. Really enjoyed it.
That's cool to hear that you enjoyed it. Yeah. Is there any takeaways that you brought back into the business? Any standouts maybe?
Um, it's last
Or
year
even
now.
your lifestyle, or your personal leadership walk?
Yeah, well, I guess we embarked on the lean journey last year, which was really awesome. Like it's often hard because you kind of think you don't have time for straightening and sorting and sustaining and things like that. And so, I mean, we started on that journey last year and organising. It's always been something. So many things you look at, you're like, I haven't got time to do. That's not making us money, so it's not a priority. So it just happened, we just started doing it last year, and so it actually was happening. And then you kind of think, oh, I haven't got back to that project for the last week or so. And then because it was part of my presentation for Icehouse, I had to keep taking photos, and it helped keep me accountable for getting things done and progressing through it. So it's probably that, and that sharing that sort of, I guess, daily results, I guess, for the staff is something
Cool.
what's the information I did learn from Icehouse and could understand it better. I was able to, I guess, break it down for my team here who don't often understand the business running things as well. So I could turn it into a language that they understood. Once the Icehouse people and the attendees there helped translate stuff to a language I understood, I could then share it on with them.
I think a key theme is being able to distill things from the people around you, the learning that you're getting, and then passing it on to your team and have them be interested in having a backseat look into the business. I think that's really cool, and hopefully encourages other owners and leaders to do the same. Staff actually want to know the how things are run, and it's can really positively impact your business as well. So that's great. I would love to hear, is there a personal or professional goal that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Personal goal. I guess since we started this business, it was to sort of give us leverage to have more personal freedom. Like I said, we were the family business started in the garage, and so my kids are much older now and sort of a teenage and in their 20s. They got dragged to work to have fish and chips on the workbenches and stuff while we were doing all that, unpaid, unrewarded work just to make sure their little business keeps surviving right from the get-go. And I guess it was always the plan to sort of, you take a 40-hour a week wage back then, but we don't think you did any less than sort of 62, 63 hours a week.
So true,
So I guess after all this time, I was like, maybe I've to get, in a position where I can get some of that time back, even though my kids are a little bit older, just to keep supporting myself and my health journey that I started a year ago. Just be able to keep filling my staff full of knowledge so that they can still function when I'm not here. Is a big one for me. I always sort of live with that fear that if I have a day or two off, that I come back to a day or two's catch up worth doing. And I would just like to know that I'm setting people up with all the knowledge and the tools and everything that they've got to be able to carry on without having to wait for my attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's great goals. Good to hear, and love that it's around that lifestyle and looking after yourself as well. What excites you about the future of Safety Genius? And the business.
Yeah, look, I am I probably don't acknowledge it enough, but I'm really proud, and after all these years of COVID and recession and all these nasty things that haven't been kind to little businesses, we've we sailed on through. We made sacrifices and we did things, and I guess we just held our breath for so long that to see us sort of still be here and just looking at each other going, oh, we haven't cracked a fortune or anything like that, but we haven't lost any staff members, we haven't had to reduce anyone's hours.
Wow.
We haven't we've sailed gone through, we've just kind of banded together and made it work. And it's quite, I'm reflecting on that. It's, I'm pretty proud of that, because I know so many businesses didn't get that opportunity, or, you know, they had to succumb to all of that horrible stuff. And I would say we're lucky, which I think there's probably a little bit to do with it, but I'm also grateful that we've all worked really, really hard and stuck it out and rode the course and kind of come up on this other side where we're sort of ready now to, I mean, no one's going to be relaxing for a while, but it's time for us to think about what else can we do? What else do our customers want? What else can we sustain for our existing customers, and make sure that, you know, they're still getting the service they've always got, that we're not going through price increases every 6 months or whatever, you know, everybody else is doing to survive. We're just sort of maintaining what we are and who we are, so that we can you know, stick to the I guess the perception that we've created for ourselves to our customers.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds such a healthy and well-run business, Tracey. So congratulations on that, and Darwin as well. You know, an amazing team you both are, and so cool to sort of personally hear a little bit more about what excites you in the future. But also how you've run your business through these really turbulent times. Congrats on that, because it has not been easy for our small, medium-sized businesses. So yeah, I think that's amazing to hear. And yeah, really cool to just sort of get an insight into your career journey. So thanks for sharing that on the podcast. I'm sure there's those listening that can relate to different points in this conversation. But we'd like to finish with some fun, quick fire questions. Is that cool?
Yeah, go for it.
Nice. When are you most relaxed?
At home. I love watching sports. I've always loved watching sports.
Cool.
Not all watching of sports is very relaxing, but before it starts, that's usually my favourite place to be, is in front of the telly, ready to, you know, get engaged into some sports or whatever.
Fun, good fun. When are you most productive?
The morning.
Yeah, I thought you may say that.
I get a second wind after lunch, maybe 2:30, but by 4:30, oh man, the lazy boy at home never looks so good, you know. Like, really just to chill and scroll through my phone until it smacks me on the nose and, you know, cracks me up. So definitely the light part of the day is
yeah, good on you. Fair enough when you get up at 5 a.m. So yes. Favorite place in the world?
Just being in my home. And yeah, that's probably my favourite part. I love going home. I don't know if the lockdowns invented that feeling, but I just love being at home with my family.
Cool.
And I just recently went to Napier, which is where I was born, and I can't help but grin ear to ear when I'm there. Like, it's always sunny when I go to Hawke's Bay, and it's just so old and nostalgic and calm, and it's like a big retirement village. And it's another place I just love being.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. That's cool to hear. Favorite hobby?
I'm going to have to say that's my powerlifting stuff at the moment. And my son, he just took a teenage world record on the weekend just gone.
Wow.
So still absolutely fizzing for him about that.
Wow, congrats.
He's only just he sort of was watching me get into it and thought, oh yeah, he could give it a go, and he did, and he succeeded really fast. And
wow.
So that's cool to have. My mum there, obviously absolutely melting. Just every single time he lifted something, she was up there for a hug and a kiss and a photo and all that in front of all of the crowd and everything. It was really, really cute. So so my hobbies turned into something for my son, who's, you know, not ever really been a sports or a ball sports kid. He's found a place in the gym with me.
Cool.
And I don't have to force him, and I don't have to pester him. And for teenage boys, that's
it's so
comforting. Yeah.
Oh, that's so special being able to do that together as well. That's great to hear. We'd like to finish with this question: a book or a podcast you recommend?
I'm a bit new to the world of podcasts, to be honest. The book, which I didn't think was amazing at the time, but has kept replaying in my head for years and years and years, was a book called E-Myth. And it just sort of, I guess, made scenarios where at the time I didn't sort of think much of, there's the entrepreneur and there's the manager and there's the staff, and sort of learned about, or case studies, or what do you want to call it, about the businesses. And it's one of those things at the time I was like, oh man, this book's so boring, and I couldn't really get into it, but I just kept reading because I was sort of flying around the country at times and things like that. But man, what a stain on my brain, because there's so many times that comes up, I'm like, oh, that's what that meant. Yeah, okay, I can see how I fit in now and my piece in that role. Or
wow.
Yeah, and I kind of, justify situations like, oh, that's good, because that was that piece of that story and things. So it was like the most uninteresting book, but really interesting that it's stuck in my head all these years later, and I keep being able to relate. I actually probably should read it again just to see where my thinking is now in comparison to where I read that back a few years ago, where I thought it was boring. It'd be interesting to see how I receive it now. But yeah, it's really interesting.
Totally. I love that stained your brain in terms of like it keeps looping back to you going, oh, this was actually really interesting and something I can implement. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that recommendation, and thank you for sharing your story, Tracey. I do really appreciate your time on the podcast today.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for doing that. It's not normally within my comfort zone, but thank you for making it easy and pleasant.
No, it was good fun.